Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Zach's Credit Card Guide. Today we're doing a very important video. We're going to cover my 5 golden rules of the points and miles hobby. If you are new to the channel, we do a lot of cool credit card topics, card reviews, and redemptions, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, but let's get started. Alright guys, so I'll try to keep this video as brief as possible, but I really want to cover what I consider the 5 most important rules for this hobby. These are designed for you to be as efficient as possible. I am a little bit more conservative in this hobby, but I do consider myself pretty strategic and methodical, and it served me well so far. So here are the rules that I follow. Number 1, never carry a balance. This is a very important just overall financial piece of advice, but it basically ties into live within your means. Don't spend more than you can pay off immediately. Treat every credit card as a debit card. I personally pay off all of my cards every 2 weeks when I get paid, and it keeps me on track, and it basically again operates it sort of as a debit card. And don't overspend just to meet a minimum spend or to collect certain points or anything like that. There are a lot of people also who will obsess about, for instance, maxing out the quarterly categories on some of those cards like the Chase Freedom. So like if the category is like 5% on pharmacies, for instance, people will go to Walgreens and buy up gift cards for stuff that they are eventually going to spend, but you tie up that money in the meantime, and to me it just doesn't make any sense. So you don't need to obsess like that. I personally don't do that, and I think it's a bit silly. But all of that kind of goes into just be financially responsible. Again, the most important thing is never carry a balance, because you will inevitably pay interest, and those interest payments will quickly negate any rewards that you're earning, and that's what the banks count on. But that's not what we do. So again, pay off your cards every 2 weeks, or at the most every month. Number 2 is don't apply for every single credit card you can find. This is mostly important when you're first starting out, because you do want to plan around Chase's 524 rule. There are a lot of very interesting and lucrative card offerings from Chase, and you don't want to lock yourself out of those. You probably want to start with Chase, just get the cards that you're interested first, and then move on to other issuers. If you're not familiar with Chase's 524 rule, I'll put a card right there for you. That's a whole video in itself. So go check that one out after this one if you want to know more about that. Another thing to keep in mind with this rule is limit your high annual fee cards. Some of the cards that are $250, $450, $500 a year, you do want to limit those, because once you get into that category of card, a lot of the benefits that make that annual fee worth it start to overlap. So one easy comparison is like the Chase Sapphire Reserve and the American Express Platinum. And one of those benefits that overlaps is, for instance, the Priority Pass membership. So I have the Chase Sapphire Reserve. It has a $450 annual fee, but that is quickly chopped down by a $300 annual travel credit, so I effectively pay $150 a year. I justify that for the lounge access and even the rental car privileges. Some of those things I actually use and consider $150 a year worth it. Now, if I was going to add, say for instance, the American Express Platinum to my wallet, I already have lounge access. So the fee that you're paying on, for instance, that card, it just doesn't make any sense anymore. So what I'm telling you is limit those high fee cards, because a lot of the benefits overlap and you may not get good value from them. And part of this is when you are looking at a card to apply for, if it has an annual fee, do consider if there is a downgrade path. So you don't want to get into a habit of opening and closing a lot of cards, because it can have a detrimental effect on your credit score and your relationship with the bank. They do track that kind of stuff. So if you're going to look at a card, again, let's take the Sapphire Reserve for example. It has a $450 annual fee. Let's say life changes. Maybe you want to take a break from this and everything else. You don't necessarily want to just close the card. It really doesn't do you any good. When you can product change it to a no annual fee card, like the Freedom Unlimited. Very easy to do, simple phone call. You keep that account alive, but you're not paying an annual fee. So you do want to explore if there is a downgrade path for annual fee cards before you apply for them. And something else to keep in mind when you're applying for cards and choosing which ones to go for next are bonus eligibility rules and issuer rules. So again, like Chase's 524, you want to be strategic. You don't want to just apply for 5 cards in a month. Now you're locked out from Chase for the next 2 years. Doesn't make any sense. The other thing is issuer rules. So 524 is one of them. But for instance, Bank of America has like a 2, 3, 4 rule. American Express has 2 cards in 90 days rule. So all of these rules you want to keep in mind when you're planning your applications and your overall strategy. Number 3 is use the right card for the right transaction. So just because you have a cool heavy metal Sapphire Reserve or American Express Platinum in your wallet, you don't want to necessarily use those for every single purchase. So for instance, as part of my Chase setup, I have the Sapphire Reserve, the Ink Cash, the Freedom, and the Freedom Unlimited, and it's not uncommon for me to have all 4 in my wallet at any one time. I consider it fairly easy to remember which bonus categories are there, but some people will even make a wallpaper, put it on your phone, and that way you could just look at it quick and say, oh yeah, I use this one for gas, I use this one for dining, and that will help keep you organized. So like the Sapphire Reserve, that is a travel and dining card. I don't use it for anything else. Ink Cash is good for gas. The Freedom Unlimited is my catch-all card. If something's not covered by one of the other cards, that's the one I use. It's really not difficult to keep track of, especially once you get into this hobby. But again, some people will make tools, put them on your phone. Some people even like put post-it notes or something on the back of the card, even a label maker. If that keeps you organized, go ahead and do it. But again, if you're serious about this hobby and you want to maximize your travel potential, then you want to use the right card for the right transaction to get the most points possible. Number 4 is research your redemptions. Part of this hobby is making sure that if you spend the time to get the most points possible, you want to use them as efficiently as possible. So start with the goal in mind. If you're looking to just do one aspirational trip, like a honeymoon or some other milestone, and you want to just go all out and take like the Etihad Apartments to Tahiti or whatever you want to do, if that's what you want to do, cool. But you need to start with the goal in mind. So you need to start looking at how many miles do I need? So there are lots of websites like Award Hacker where you can put in your destination. It'll even let you choose like which banking systems you're going to use, like American Express, Citi, Chase, and it'll tell you what transfer partners will allow you to get there and about how many miles it's going to take to do it. From there, you just start planning out your cards, look at welcome bonuses, and just maximizing your everyday spending like we talked about in Rule 3 to get there. I would also recommend setting up loyalty accounts with all of the transfer partners for whichever system you're going to use. This helps you quickly look for award availability, and eventually you are going to have to transfer those points to those loyalty programs, so it just helps to have it set up in the first place. Last thing when you're looking at redemptions, don't forget the travel portals. Both Chase and American Express have one. Do look at those options. For instance, I just went to DC. I just did a video about that, and I ended up staying in a Hilton, and I only had to use 45,000 points, whereas if I was going to just transfer points to Hilton, I would have had to use American Express, but just stick with me. If I was going to use points for a Hilton redemption, it was like 100,000 Hilton points every night. And by using the Chase portal, not only was I able to book a Hilton, which Chase doesn't transfer to, I also used far fewer points. So do your research, check travel portals, and also don't rule out just paying cash. Calculate the value that you're getting for your points. Everybody has a limit for what's worth it to you. For instance, I don't give up my points for anything less than like 1.5 cents each. If the redemption is less than that, I'd rather just pay cash, whatever it is. I don't need it that bad. So a lot of the banks will let you do like statement credits for 1 cent a point. For me, that's not worth it, so I don't do that. So again, if it is a small trip and you could pay cash, don't rule it out. Again, it all depends on what you want to get out of this. And last, number 5 is probably one of the most important, is don't miss a bonus. There are a lot of people who I've seen in the comments and on Reddit and other forums that are dedicated to this hobby, and people have missed the sign-up bonus. Now, pretty much every credit card on the planet, even those with a high annual fee, makes a ton of sense in year 1 and probably even year 2 and 3, just because of the value that you get when you immediately sign up in that sign-up bonus. It's not uncommon for those to be even 1,000 or more in value, but that's only if you make the minimum spend. So when you're looking at a sign-up bonus and it says spend X number of dollars in whatever time period, typically 3 months, and then you get the sign-up bonus. What I recommend is 1, keep track yourself. The easiest for me, especially on a brand new card, is I just add up the payments. So like we talked about earlier, I pay my cards every 2 weeks. So I just go through and add up those payments every 2 weeks, and I can see pretty much about how much I've spent. And then I always overspend it by about $100 or $200, just so there's no question about it. It's kind of like how runners, when they're doing a race, they don't start slowing down towards the finish line, they run through the end. It's kind of the same thing. That's kind of what you need to do. Also, a lot of the major banks will allow you to check your progress if you want to double check your work through a chat function. So like American Express is really good about this. I just did it with the Business Prime bonus that I was working on. I'll put a screenshot of that right there for you. So it was really easy to just go through the chat and ask them, hey, as far as what your system is showing, how far am I towards this? So that's it for this video, guys. I just wanted to share my 5 top tips, the golden rules of credit card miles and points and everything. If you follow these, you'll be in pretty good shape. Again, never carry a balance. Be strategic with applying for new cards. Use the right card for the right transaction. Research your redemptions. And almost most importantly, never miss a bonus. My question for you guys is, do you follow any of these tips? If you could add some to the list, what would you recommend? Let everybody know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up to let me know. I do have a couple links for some cool credit cards down in the description. I do get a kickback from the issuer, but if you're going to apply for them anyway, help a guy out. That's all I've got for you this time, guys. See you at the next one. Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure to drop a comment down below and give the video a thumbs up. Here's some other videos that I think you'll really like. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos, and I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well. See you at the next one.